This panel is here to unpack how digital strategies, platforms, can turn strategic storytelling into brand equity, which ultimately is the real business. Welcome to this panel discussion, the role of digital in brand storytelling. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our lovely ladies here. I do have Sebenzile, Pamela, and Anele, who will introduce themselves before we go into the discussion points that we have today.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. As has been mentioned, my name is Sebenzile Ngqobo. I've been in the marketing world now for about 15 years, believe it or not. And I'm currently a senior marketing manager for Monster Energy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pamela Mtanga, and I'm a multimedia entrepreneur. Why are you laughing at me? I'm trying to be serious, okay? I'm serious.
Hi everyone, I'm Anele Maphanga and I'm the Public Relations and Influencer Lead at Unilever for the Beauty, Wellbeing and Personal Care category.
Thank you so much, ladies. They do look beautiful, don't they? Now I'm also not sure how to speak with them. Thank you. Our first question, ladies, why does storytelling matter? And I think one would be from being a media personality perspective, but the others would also being sitting within a brand to say, why is storytelling so important in this digital age? Anyone?
I think it creates or opens up a window for resonance, relatability, and I think the more we tell our story, the more we eliminate the need for global to tell our story. So I think the more we tell our story from a local landscape, I think it kind of strengthens our story and we are etching our names in history.
Lovely.
I think from a brand perspective, storytelling is so important for brands because it helps build brand identity, right? Sometimes, how a brand conveys themselves and how they tell their story could be a make or break factor because sometimes it's the consumer's why they choose your brand over the competitor, why they want to be loyal to you, and why they want to stick with you. So how a brand conveys themselves, their story, their narrative, their reason for being, their purpose, allows the consumer to resonate better with them and ultimately pick them sometimes in this very cluttered world that we live in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think just to add to what Sebe and Pamela have already said, I think it's always been about storytelling. When you look at print media, and what that was all about, it was about telling the stories of the community, breaking news, and then that shifted to radio, and it was painting the picture so that the person can see it in their mind and imagine it, right? Again, driven by storytelling as much as it is about telling the news or sharing information. And then you move on to television, same story, but now it's just visual. And I think the issue with digital and why we now think that it's never been about storytelling is that when digital media first came about, it was about connection. It was about adding my friend, right, on Facebook, sharing my music interests on MySpace. But again, the storytelling has always been there, but I have been the subject. Because brands have come on later, now we are getting surprised that actually I still need to tell stories. And by tell stories, what do we mean? It's to entertain. It's to entertain people. It's not just impressions, reach, engagement, because we're seeing that that's very limited and very one-sided. It feels very transactional for me as the audience. Like, what are you giving me? Are you surprising me? Are you telling the authentic stories of the community? So I think because on digital, it's always been the subject being the individual and brands sort of catching on later on. Now we're realizing actually it also is about storytelling here. So for me, I think it's remembering those basic principles of marketing and also creating assets even especially on digital, as opposed to just volume, but assets that resonate. You said resonate with people and that are memorable and that build those iconic brand identity and assets.
Yeah.
Can I just add on that?
Absolutely.
I think in this fast-paced world that we're living of access and digital, there are those certain fundamentals that are getting lost. And for me as a marketer, you've hit the nail on the head, that there are certain fundamentals that we're forgetting. You know, content is being spewed out every second, sometimes with no thought, you know, and I think more importantly for brands, there's certain marketing 101 must-haves that we need to continue to do, such as consumer research, like Bronson said, getting that all-important consumer insight so you can define your why. That aspect is getting lost right now because of this fast-paced world that we're living in, and creating iconic, impactful brands, sometimes going back to the more traditional ways that we're doing, that we used to do things is important, but still using what we have now to disseminate the message. So the base we still need to do the groundwork for the base, and then use the current channels we have now to disseminate that information, but done in a way that is powerful and impactful and not just about spewing out content every 2 seconds.
Sure. Yeah. I think you guys spoke about, if we had to tie that together, it's about connection. I think psychology is, the Maslow hierarchy of needs is a sense of belonging. I can relate by virtue of belonging. In Zomi, when you're talking about a story, it's like, oh, actually, that's also me. You know, it's merely because I can relate, I can connect. It reminds me of something subconsciously that I had gone through, or a story of, oh, also you, that's what you also, you know, feel. But that's what
Or it reminds me of someone I know.
No, you know.
My mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, and you can identify and attach it to something, and that's, in neurolinguistics, it's something that, you know, your brain has that it can connect to, and that's what you live, and you create this world of that you have. But now, you've spoken about something that's also quite important, which I think relates to authenticity. You know, a question was asked outside around what culture means, and I was like, it's an identity. What does that mean to you, you know, when we talk about authenticity? And I think whether working in a global brand, I think in SMME, I was saying the beauty about it is that you don't have the red tape. So you can trial out, you can be pink today, brown tomorrow, you know, but what is it when it comes to brands, when you're building that brand? Consistency, definitely, but what does authenticity look like to you?
I love the question about authenticity because I am often on the fence about it. I think authenticity is curated. Authenticity is curated for many people, and I will speak from a perspective of a creator. Personally, I am very busy from an emceeing perspective, but my secondary offering from a social media perspective is content creation and fashion. However, I can't create, I'm not rocking great outfits every single day, but I can make you believe that I am, because I will pack 10 outfits into my car and go shoot. That's not authentic. That's not authentic. I remember, I think it was my sister, was like, it's Tuesday today, where's Tuesday's outfit? Because you posted a Tuesday outfit online, but this is what you're wearing.
Not the same.
You know? And yeah, authenticity is curated and it's make-believe. It really is make-believe. However, I do believe that it shouldn't be too far off. I think, again, I speak from the perspective of a creator. It shouldn't be too far off. And going back to brand, I think we were having a conversation quite extensively outside about, I think the point that I'm trying to drive home is how brand comes with a brief and says, hey guys, all 20 of you curate this content just like this. I need you to wake up in the morning, meditate, in fact, do the influencer yawn. All of you do that in the morning. Go make your porridge, go to Pilates, go grab matcha, come back, have a fake meeting online, and then set up your tripods, shoot content, and then a little bit later on, connect with friends and family and go out for lunch. I'm not doing any of that stuff in a day. And when I create a content piece that is showing you what I'm actually doing in a day, it's like, no, can you please like walk into the office? I don't even got no office though. Walk into the no, I don't have to walk into the office. So I think it's understanding what is authentic to that particular creator, and I think brands should be more collaborative and want to co-create with influencers or people who just tell brand stories. I think even coming to global, coming to you from a Monster Energy perspective, coming to you and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. This is the person that we're trying to drive right now within this, within your space. You're able to say, hey, this is not how we relate as South Africans. This is how I think we should drive it. As Monster Energy, this is what energy means to South Africa. This is what we love as South Africans, food. We are a dancing community. We are a community that loves our people. We're friendly, and there's so many pressure points, but at the end of it all, at the core, we are people abanobuntu. And those are the things or core values that we want to drive home through our campaigns, rather than you saying, oh, Lewis Hamilton, the fastest 7-time world champion. That's great. I love Hamilton, but like people still think of Formula One as Schumacher. Perhaps that's not who you want to drive in South Africa. He's great. I love seeing a black man win. Trust me, I'm obsessed with the sport. But perhaps from a Monster Energy perspective, they're going to push Hamilton because he's still the face. But like, let's find other stories and narratives that will be authentic to South Africa to continue to drive the brand and resonance.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the next question just because of time. Sorry, I think because unfortunately we have to respect time, I'm going to have just 2 questions and maybe also have 2 questions. If you have, I have 1, 2, I'm going to keep it at that. And then just to wrap it up, I just have 3 minutes. Oh, no questions. Okay, sorry guys. But maybe just to wrap up that, and you've put it so well in terms of you can do make-believe, right? But there's essence of it, and it goes back again, like I say, to how can I connect to what is Pamela saying? I see Pamela and I'm like, oh, actually, I remember her from the day when she had that bun story, but there's a story that I can connect with. But you see that where there's an identification and seeing myself in that. But I think we had this conversation outside, ladies, where we were talking about what then measurement of that performance looks like around building the story, because as marketers here, we're just like, yeah.
She was quite passionate.
Yeah, that's all. That's why I'm going to give it to her before we close. And then, Anele, I think we'll close it off. But I think where I find myself is that we've had digital driving performance, which is great, absolutely. I think long gone are the days. And not that I think marketers previously didn't show the performance, but there was essence where they were buying into that, you know, and for us now it's about, to your point, impressions, reach, let's get Pamela quickly. Pamela, brief here, okay, let's go, shoot, and then come back, and then kind of measure that and supposedly say that's good or bad. But I think the essence of it is, where's it attaching to, where's it holding on to for longevity? So, yeah.
So, I mean, the conversation we're having outside was just about how the marketing world right now, and rightfully so, because digital is one of the key channels that we do use to communicate with our consumers, but how everything has become about performance marketing. Yes, it's important, but I think we need to take a step back and say, what is performance marketing? What are the numbers about? You know, if somebody says impressions, do we even know what that is? What does impressions mean? What does it mean for my brand? And I think, you know, in this digital world that we're living now, we need to take a step back, look at the data and say, what is it from this data do I need to tell the narrative that my brand is actually performing? What pieces of data can I take to an exco meeting and say to a CFO, listen, marketing is actually contributing to the growth of this company, to the growth of this brand, because the numbers say this, or we can attribute impressions to revenue, if there's such a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we need to look at the numbers, but understand the numbers, be able to tell a story with the numbers that speak to what the businesses need, which is the top line as well as the bottom line.
Thank you. Maybe I should take that with. But just to close it off, I think I'm just going to start from that side, Anele, just to wrap up, and then I'll just close the panel due to time. Just your closing statement or point in relation to, of course, this panel.
Yeah, I think, I think people feel that authenticity means my grandmother, or you know what I mean? Like it's that level of relatability that when we were black type of thing. But I think authenticity is, it's truth. Is it truthful? Even if it's not truthful for me as an individual, is this person's story the truth? Because that person, the video is a metaphor. It's a representation of a community, of an individual, and it might not be me, but is it the truth? For me, that's what authenticity is. And I get what you were saying around, you shot the content, this is not your Tuesday outfit, but I think even that is authenticity, because I can relate to that as a woman who's not a content creator, but a 9-to-5er who is very busy, who is also behind a laptop, working from home in my pajamas, but I might have a blazer on to project something, right?
Yeah.
It's still authentic, it's the truth. We can relate, it resonates with us, and maybe not with everyone and not at all points in time, right? So that's the first point. And then just around storytelling, I think we are so fearful today telling stories that seem niche or stories that seem very specific to certain communities, because there is this drive, this pressure for 1 million impressions and reach. And I think there is so much power in understanding who your consumer is and not caring if it doesn't resonate with people that it wasn't intended to. But because we are living in this cancel culture era, we think we have to appeal to everyone. So I think for me, those are the 2 or 3 points that I want to end off with, is that if it's the truth, then it's authentic. It doesn't have to be everyone's truth. Just that audience that it was intended for, then that's okay. The second point being this chase, again, for reach, for numbers, just chase resonance with your intended audience, that's enough. And then the third point around, that was my first point. My first point, I wanted to repeat it because I really, really felt like it was important. Storytelling, yes, storytelling. Not being fearful, in terms of alienating people. Tell your story. Stand on business. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Tell your story. Stand on business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll have 3 points. I think
Short and sweet.
The first point is, I think with regards to the numbers, the impressions, and what do they actually mean, I think a lot of brands and a lot of creators are chasing virality right now. We've seen what virality can do for others. One moment they're in their back room, the next thing they have an apartment in Sandton, and we all want to be them, And so you cannot blame people for wanting to chase that virality, because it actually comes with being booked and busy. It comes with the money. It comes with you being the people's favorite brand online. So I think in chasing that virality, just be careful, build relationships. A conversation that we were having a little bit earlier on brings me to point number 2. Don't chase the new creator in town. Who's trending right now, who's most popular, who's gonna give me a dance challenge, who's gonna make us viral right now, who resonates more with your brand, who's adding value to your brand. And with brands and creators, can we start co-creating, which is point number 3. Can we start co-creating? I personally have never been in a boardroom where I'm being asked, hey, what do you think this campaign should look like? However, I've seen my content being declined by a brand, and then the next year it became the blueprint for the next campaign. I've seen that. I've been in a meeting like that. So I want to say that we should ensure that as brands and creators, we're sitting in the rooms together, even if it's one creator, co-creating, building campaigns together in order to ensure that we're reaching the right people, we're telling the same narrative, and we understand each other. And lastly, it brings me to a campaign that I did with Nescafe. Nescafe, I wasn't in the room when they created the campaign. However, you would swear we were in the room. They took a look at every single creator that was on. One was creating art, one was a fashion creator, another was a lifestyle creator, and I think the other one was in sports, the other one cooks. And they literally said, create according to your niche. So I created according to fashion. I created outfits inspired by the different variants. So some of them were blue, some of them were green, like smooth and rich. And I spoke to what smooth and rich perhaps means to me, and I translated that into an outfit. Another person was cooking. She was cooking and she incorporated Nescafe into her food and created meals with Nescafe variants. Another one was traveling. She actually went on a trip, and in her travels, she took the Nescafe and she woke up beautiful drone shot of the entire resort. And it started with her holding a cup of coffee. And that for me is the type of campaign you want to be a part of, even though it wasn't created with us in the room, but it was created with us in mind. We want brands to start speaking with us, not to us when it comes to campaigns, because that is where we can actually collaborate, we can actually create and tell stories that really matter and continue to emphasize the beauty of the African continent and emphasize the beauty of telling our stories.
Thank you. Sebs, you gonna?
No, I've just only
Okay,
one point,
all right.
and it just stems off from what Pam was saying, and that is, in being impactful on digital, and being authentic to what you were talking about. It's important. Gone are the days where a marketer sits, drafts the brief, and sends it. Those days are over. And I think in order for brands
I wish they were.
in order for brands to be impactful online, they need to co-create. You need more than one voice in the room. You need more than brand's voice in the room. You need the people's voice in the room. And if you are going to be using an influencer as a conduit to disseminate information, it's so important for brands and marketers to make sure that they're creating the brief with the influencer or the personality or the person of influence, because if you don't, you lose it all together. So that's my parting shot.
And one last one. I think there's also brands that are mainly, let's say, based overseas, like let's say a Monster Energy, and then when they come to South Africa, they want the brand campaign to be executed as it was executed in Austria, as it was executed in the US or wherever. I think you guys have to fight. Please fight.
Thank you, Pam.
We are fighting.
Please fight for us, because even down to like curvy campaigns, you'll find that curvy is like curvy jeans. It's like 32. How is that curvy in South Africa? You actually also slender at 32. 32 size jeans also slender, and you'll find that they actually don't want to put anyone who's 36, 38. No, it's not desirable. It's not because it's for the European market. Then you're trying to basically copy and paste what they created there. So I think brand managers as well, please fight. We believe in you.
Thanks.
Stand on business.
Thanks, Pam. Just to wrap it up, thank you so much to our panelists. I think there's a lot of gems. I think Miles mentioned in the morning that people take what they've taken from this discussion. Quick one, I remember when I was doing television and screen arts, and the story was around, does TV or soapies or story depict society, or are they showing what society really is? And I think it's almost a chicken before the hen type of thing, or whatever the horse, what that's saying. And in this instance, I think it goes back to tell your story, because nobody else is going to tell it the way you're going to tell it. So thank you very much. Yeah, thanks.